Hello, everybody, and welcome to Coffee Catch-Ups. Welcome to a Thursday afternoon, and it's great to be here again for Coffee Catch-Ups. I do always enjoy and get excited about jumping in front of the camera and having a bit of a chat around different topics or having different people join me. It was an epic episode that we had on Tuesday, having Tanya on the show. It was really cool to get her insight, and we had some awesome positive feedback around that. A little bit of a catch up. So make sure you jump in and have a watch. All of our coffee catch ups are on our YouTube channel, the Wealth Mentor YouTube channel. If you do go over and have a watch of any of them, make sure you hit the subscribe button, like the videos. That obviously helps us to make sure that we can keep getting our content out to everybody and making a difference. Right, today I would like to be talking about 2021. Oh my goodness, what a year. And the funny thing is, when you think about 2021, we all went into 2021 going, oh, thank God 2020 is finished, eh? Thankfully now we can rip into 2021 with got that strange little virus behind us, and we can move on and we can rip into a new year. But what we then find out is that 2021 is going to throw us a few different curveballs, and it certainly has. But I think it's been, a great learning opportunity for so many different facets. In terms of business-wise, we've seen things like lockdowns, we've seen things like border closures, and then we've seen some changes within the property market as well, which in turn has just, I guess, really separated the educated from the uneducated. And I'm going to get to that in a little bit in terms of really the way that we look at property and the changes that we've seen over the time. Let's start off by actually just talking a little bit about 2021 in terms of a business, because for Wealth Mentor, it's been, when we go back to, start of 2020, when the world went into turmoil in terms of this pandemic, we actually had a whole team of speakers over in Melbourne at one of our cash flow masterclasses. If you haven't attended a cash flow masterclass, I highly recommend it. It's a really ripper 3 days. We now deliver them virtually, but we had a team over there, and we had to get our team back over to New Zealand. And well, things just haven't quite been the same since. We've had to continually pivot as a company. We went into 2021 excited. We managed to get a few live events into 2020, and then we've had to really embrace the whole virtual space. And it's been a right behind that wall, the full studio. We've done a few of the coffee catch-ups from there, and been able to deliver exceptional content, I believe, in the virtual space. And we've really been able to impact so many people's lives, even in the virtual space. And that's something I'm hugely proud of as a business owner, but also proud of the team and what they've been able to achieve for sure. As well as that, I think I'm really proud of all the students' achievements, the students that have gone out there and continue to create the financial freedom, continue to build their portfolios, and continually learning and upskilling. It really, really is a powerful element to take that on board. And as well as that, we've got so many great students from Australia. I can see that Ganeshan there posting, saying good morning, good afternoon, saying hello. That's brilliant. It's from Brisbane. We've got students joining us from all over Australia and New Zealand, and even from Singapore. So, we've had border closures, but again, the virtual space really has been an opportunity in that regard. But then we come across to the property market. And the interesting situation that we've seen within property in 2021 is, once again, exponential growth. We've seen huge growth in the property market, but there's so many factors that have affected why we are seeing such growth. And we've seen growth not just in New Zealand, but in Australia. We've seen growth within America. The UK was a little bit behind, but we're starting to see them catch up a little bit now and seeing a little bit of movement in their market. But what are some of the reasons, or what are some of the things that we've seen in terms of property in 2021? And I've written a few notes down here. One of the things that really stood out to me is the fact is that we've had the highest inflation in New Zealand now since the late 80s. The highest inflation in New Zealand since the late 80s. What this does is this drives prices of everything. Property prices, though, have been exponentially grown and inflated in terms of its value, because in New Zealand especially, we have a supply issue. there is not enough houses to support the amount of people that are wanting houses. There is a lower stock that we've seen on the market in terms of when you go to Trade Me or real estate listings. Same with rentals. The rental vacancy rate is literally at 0%. There is no vacancy because the property market really has not produced enough houses. The stats that I have talked about before, we're 40,000 houses short. That's growing by about 10,000 houses per year. Now, we have seen that the most amount of consents are in at the moment in terms of a lot of new builds. But what I think is vital is that we are still looking at the ability to make sure that we're buying the right types of property as investors to make sure that we can continue to grow our portfolios and hit those financial goals. And I'll talk a little bit about that soon. The other interesting thing that we've had recently is we've seen interest rates rise. We've seen interest rates rise for the first time in 7 years, and there's probably still a little bit of movement for them to rise still. So that gives us a little bit of an interesting situation, because do we still expect interest rates to continue up? How much more? I'd love for you guys to jump in the comments what your thoughts are, because at the end of the day, it's a little bit of a crystal ball situation. I've had a few of my mates actually yesterday jump on and in a group chat and ask me about what my thoughts are in terms of interest rate rises. Because they're looking at fixing mortgages and what where I see it. I think that we will still see some interest rate rises. I'm not sure that we're going to see huge amounts of rise, but I think it's essential when you are running any sort of calculations in terms of your property investments that you are stress testing them. Making sure that there is the ability to still make huge amounts of cash flow, even if we do see an interest rate rise. My recommendations at the moment is to stress test your numbers at 5%. So run your interest rates at 5%. Are you still hitting your cash flow goals, your cash flow targets in terms of your property investments in that regard? We've also then seen a few changes in the property market in terms of the legislation, the tax legislation that we've seen. We've seen the government come out and remove interest deductibility from investment properties. This is an interesting one. I think my view is this was it was essentially a really smart move by the government in terms of creating a lot of revenue but at the same time creating the revenue by targeting what is deemed to be a supply issue, which often people believe as investors, but as not as investors, it's due to the fact that we just have not built enough houses over the last few years. So what we've seen is interest deductibility not removed. So you can't deduct the interest as an expense against your income. What essentially happens is your income level and the amount of income that you'll pay tax on is actually not going to line up. You'll pay tax on a higher amount of income, which is a little bit of an interesting one. But again, it creates the opportunity to really think outside the square. It creates the situation where as investors, we need to look at other ways of being smarter about our investments. We have the situation where any new code of compliance means that you are able to still deduct interest deductibility for up to 20 years. So when you have your dwellings, really look to be creative and what can you do in terms of the land. It's something that we are really passionate about at Wealth Mentor, is being able to create a strategy that works no matter what your situation is. So you would have noticed if you've attended any of our summits, that every time we do a summit, we're looking at other ways that you can create cash flow, create capital, create wealth for you and your family. The summits very much are obviously designed for as many people as possibly can enjoy and take the knowledge from there. But I highly recommend, guys, if you haven't caught any of the summits, to catch up on them. We've actually got, I'll get the team in the background to show you. We've actually created a bit of a summit special, so you are able to grab all the summits that we've done this year. There's actually a fourth one in there as well, which is the latest one that I did alongside a couple of awesome people. So for only $49, you can get access to 4 of our summits. That's about 12 hours of content there for only $49. And again, the link will jump in the chat there for you guys that are interested in learning around that. It really covers off a range of different strategies. And in terms of the strategies, it's really important that you guys are constantly evolving with the times. when we see things like legislation change, when we see things like interest rates rise, it's a matter of surrounding yourself and continuing to grow as investors to understand evolving strategies. If the market moves, if the market goes up, if the market goes down, if we have tax changes, as an educated investor, you are able to work out ways in order to be able to make sure that you are getting the best from your investments. And this is something that we're extremely proud of at Wealth Mentor, being able to do this. So definitely, if you haven't caught all our summits, I recommend that. For only $49, you get access to all 4 summits for life. And there is some nice little bonuses in there as well. So definitely check that one out. The other thing, coming back to the property market, is that we've seen huge rises. I mean, we're talking about, the last stats was just shy of 30% growth within New Zealand. I did laugh that this morning there was a New Zealand Herald article came out that the market is slowing. Well, they've probably just pulled up one little stat and decided that the market is slowing. It really is definitely not the best place to be getting your property market data. But what we have seen is a huge growth in terms of, coming back to, I mentioned inflation, but also property market up to 30% growth. This here is very, very much driven along by the quantitative easing that we've seen. The money that has come in the COVID recovery response, in terms of the amount of money that's been put into the economy, has driven asset prices up quite substantially. So we've seen a lot of the asset prices grow, in property being one of the key ones. And the crazy thing is, I was just talking to Kyron before, one of our mentors. He was telling me a little bit about the US, and that Biden is about to print another $2 trillion in his COVID response in the quantitative easing. $2 trillion of more money coming out into the economy. What is that going to do again to asset prices? And you know what? I think for all of you guys out there, it's time to maybe stick your hand out and grab some of it. It's a great phrase that I once heard. The world is spinning and there's money always going around. Millions and millions of dollars are transacted every single day, every single hour. What about you just stick your hand out and you grab some? When I first heard that concept, I was like, wait, you kidding me? You just stick my hand out? But it's so true. If you have that mentality that you just need to go out there and grab or create the situation to get the best opportunity for you and your family, it really does come down to it being that simple. So what we've seen interest rates rising. We've seen tax legislation changes, which encourages new builds. So we've seen the interest deductibility and we've seen the bright line test not actually come into fruition for new builds. So what I think as investors is really important that we develop the space of development. What is the best use, or what is the best opportunity that we can do with the land that we have available to us? So as investors, you need to upskill in the development space. If you have bought, buy and hold properties before, you need to look at now what are the opportunities with the current properties that you own in terms of development potential. We're talking minor dwellings, we're talking transporters, we're talking about subdivisions, and maybe even being able to put on multiple units on your properties. But how do you go about this? How is the best way that you can be the most efficient in terms of making sure that your budgets are correct and that you're not overspending, you're not overcapitalizing in the space, ensuring you understand the process to ensure that you compress your timelines and get this process done as quick as possible. We're really fortunate at Wealth Mentor that we've got the unbelievable skilled and knowledgeable Paul and Jeanette Southey, and you guys would have met them if you've caught any of my previous coffee catch-ups. Absolutely legendary. They're actually hosting an event for us this weekend, which is called the Developers Masterclass. It's actually, team, if we can just get the information on that, I should actually probably share that with you guys. The Developers Masterclass is actually going to be 2 days fully dedicated to developments, the development space, hosted by Paul and Jeanette, supported by a couple of us mentors here at Wealth Mentor. 2 days virtual online, no matter where you are, you can jump in, you can watch it. And we've still got some tickets available for $997. Now, if you jump on the link that the team will pop into the chat now, and you head across to the to fill out the details on that page, you make sure you put in the discount code last chance. I know that this discount code expires at midnight tonight, so you need to be quick to grab those tickets for $997. You get to spend 2 full days with Paul. We actually just came off a meeting about 10 minutes ago with Paul, running through the last little bits, and it is an action-packed 3 days. You definitely want to catch this one if you have not already purchased your ticket, which I know many of you guys have. It's going to be a wicked event. Right. So what we've seen is one crazy 2021. We all keep waiting. When is it going to return? When are we going to see that normality come back? Well, I think for all of us, we're hoping. But what is the new normal? What is the new normal in terms of us as investors, as people, as as I guess those of you out there just trying to create the best situation you can for you and your family, because at the end of the day, that for me is everything that I'm about. It's actually quite funny because I do actually have a little bit of a legendary person, probably one of my favorite people in the world, joining me in my office today. She's actually sitting over on the couch of my office. I've brought my daughters with me to the office today, and on the drive in, I said to Isla, do you know what Daddy does when he goes to his office? And she says, yeah. I thought, what is it? And she said, you show people how to make money. I thought that was brilliant. It was really cute to hear that. Well, at the end of the day, it's a way of educating and showing people that there's a financial better way to do your finances and investing and create the best life you can for you and your family. So I thought that was epic, and I really wanted to share that awesome little statement that that Isla dropped out this morning. Guys, as I said, 2021 has been crazy. What is the new normal going to be? Well, we're not quite sure yet. But at the end of the day, we need to keep upskilling. We need to keep creating the best version of ourselves. One last thing before I let you guys go for the afternoon is for our advanced students tonight, we've got an epic web class coming up. So we do our monthly web class tonight. Karen and myself are jumping on at 8:30 New Zealand time, and we will be talking about what is the best ways to create the best deals that you can in the current market. So you don't want to miss this one, because there are deals out there. I've just been talking to two of my students who've just secured a pretty epic three lot deal with some serious subdivision potential. They're out there. Join us tonight. For those of you who are advanced students, make sure you check out the VIP page. The link is in there. Also, your emails, you would have got an email already. So can't wait to jump on that. Ganeshan, we'll see you tonight, I'm sure. And thanks for your awesome comments. Guys, have a fantastic afternoon. It has been great to catch up with you. Hey, 2021 has been crazy, but let's make sure that we keep smashing, we keep growing, we become the best version of ourselves. And most importantly, make sure that you're always out there staying awesome. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Goodbye.